You're in elementary school. The chalkboard squeaks, kids shuffle in their seats, and the smell of rubber soles on polished linoleum hangs in the air. Suddenly you're called out of class. No explanation, just a quiet hallway, a folding chair in an empty room, headphones placed over your ears, a puzzle, a strange tone in one ear and then the other ear.
This is the first step along your path to a gateway.
A man in a suit, watching from the corner, taking notes. Maybe it was just a hearing test, or maybe it wasn't. If you were a child in the 80s or 90s, this memory might ring a bell. And if you were part of something called the GATE program, Gifted and Talented Education, you might have other memories too. Vague ones, fractured, fuzzy around the edges. A pink drink you were told to sip. A card with strange symbols. A game that wasn't really a game. Feelings of confusion, or maybe even dread.
And there was sounds playing and we were told to float. I remember that.
I'm currently crashing out over this, but I'm also equally grateful that we are finally talking about this / even remembering this. I want to talk about the GATE program, the Gifted and Talented Education, quote unquote, program that some of us were selected for in elementary school, me being one of them. I had completely forgotten about this until I was on my For You page the other day scrolling and I heard the audio of the quote unquote hearing test, and I literally crashed out.
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body.
Lately, a wave of people online, mostly Gen-Xers and millennials, are remembering these moments, and they're asking the same unsettling question. What exactly was the GATE program? Was it a way to help smart kids stay challenged, or was it something else? A growing number of people believe GATE wasn't just about education. They believe it was part of a covert government experiment, one designed to identify and recruit children with psychic potential. This is the GATE conspiracy, and if it sounds far-fetched, just wait. At the heart of this theory is a simple, spine-chilling idea that gifted programs in public schools were a front, a mask, for a hidden agenda orchestrated by government agencies, perhaps even the CIA, to test, monitor, and possibly use children with unexplained mental abilities. Think Stranger Things, only real. Here's a quote from one Reddit user who says they were part of GATE.
I remember they would call us down individually out from class and give us strange tests. I remember questions about rearranging shapes. I remember questions about moral situations and who should get what punishments. I remember trying to guess Zener cards before they were revealed. That's a little alarming to me because Zener cards were very specifically invented to test patients for ESP.
If this was just one outlier, you could dismiss it, but it isn't. Thousands of people report nearly identical experiences. Isolated testing, Zener cards, strange sounds, and a recurring symbol, the mysterious pink or purple drink. And many of these memories come with the same eerie footnote. After the tests, nothing. A blank spot. Years of forgetting. Until now.
The theory is that these programs were to try and crack down on kids that might have potential for, this is the theory, powers, psychic abilities.
For those who claim they were part of something strange, the memories share striking similarities. They recall being pulled from regular classes for special testing, often alone, sometimes with the windows covered in the room. They remember clanky headphones and weird noises. They remember being in a room at the end of a long, silent hallway, old walls, off-white paint, no one else around.
I would have to put on bulky headphones and listen to this man talking about different things like, this is the exercise for your own development process designed by you. Then, ocean waves and several different tones would come and blend together. Afterward, they would have me drink that pink chalky liquid in red tablets.
They were asked to match shapes, identify patterns, even read books upside down. Some remember Rorschach tests. Others were told to untangle a knotted string. A few say they were shown disturbing or confusing images, but can't remember exactly what. But again and again, the pink drink comes up, sometimes given after a session, sometimes to just one child in the session. It sounds like science fiction, but it gets weirder.
I remember being given a purplish liquid after a test and then nothing. I didn't remember the program again until I was in my 30s.
Aside from these fragmented memories, many former GATE students describe a strange emotional response to this program, a deep discomfort. Some beg their parents not to go, claiming to feel sick so they could stay home. But most say when it comes to GATE, they seem to feel a sense of dread they couldn't explain. More troubling are the adults who say they didn't remember anything about GATE until years and sometimes decades later. And when the memories did return, they came with emotional distress, gut feelings, nightmares, panic attacks, and in some cases, a life marked by instability, by addiction, or mental illness, or a persistent feeling of wasted potential. And some theorize this is no accident. There's even a belief, unverifiable but deeply held, that those deemed unsuitable for psychic training were scrubbed and released, their memories suppressed, and their lives derailed. But where did this theory come from? And more importantly, is there any truth to it? Let's talk some facts. Because if you're thinking the US government would never do something like this, well, they already did. Between 1953 and 1973, the CIA ran the now infamous program called MK Ultra. Its goal was mind control.
You will be a psychic weapon.
The agency conducted secret experiments on both willing and unwitting participants, dosing them with high amounts of LSD and subjecting them to sensory deprivation, hypnosis, electroshock therapy, isolation, and even torture, all without informed consent. And these experiments were carried out at over 80 institutions, including universities and hospitals. When the program was exposed in the mid-70s, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all files destroyed. The ones that survived did only so by accident, but they were enough to blow the lid off the operation. The MK Ultra scandal was real. It's been documented, proven, and declassified. So if they did it then, why wouldn't they do it again? Following MK Ultra, the government didn't abandon strange experiments. They simply rebranded. In 1977, the U.S. Army and the Defense Intelligence Agency launched the Stargate Project. Its mission? To investigate and harness psychic abilities for military use. They focused on remote viewing, which is the alleged ability to see distant places, people, or objects without physically being there, or basically psychic spying. Why? Because intelligence suggested that the Soviet Union was also investing heavily in psychotronic research. Once again, the U.S. needed to keep up. The Stargate project ran until 1995. And again, this is not speculation. This is declassified. You can read the documents yourself. So now we've got MK Ultra, we've got Stargate, and then we've got GATE. Officially, the GATE, or Gifted and Talented Education Program, was a nationwide effort to provide advanced educational opportunities to students with exceptional abilities. It was based on research from educators like Howard Gardner, who introduced the theory of multiple intelligences. Programs often included enrichment activities like puzzles and problem-solving games, subject acceleration, moving ahead in a single subject, creative projects such as building structures or solving mysteries, and open-ended moral or logical reasoning tasks. Some kids learned about mythology, chemistry, or ancient cultures. Others built egg parachutes or designed cities. For most, it was a safe place to be smart without being mocked, and a place where you wouldn't be made fun of for finishing the worksheet early. But some kids remember it differently. Here's where things get complicated, because gifted kids often face unique emotional challenges, such as anxiety, social isolation, and perfectionism. Their intellectual maturity often outpaces their emotional development, so they feel different, misunderstood. Like these intense, confusing childhood experiences could be misremembered or reinterpreted through the lens of a viral TikTok video. Some psychologists suggest that the gate conspiracy is a form of illusory pattern perception, the human tendency to find meaning in randomness. A few scattered memories plus a shared feeling of weirdness becomes a story, a compelling one. And once one person posts about their strange gate memories, others start to recall their own, and the snowball begins. Still, there's one final twist, one more element that refuses to sit comfortably in either the harmless or the hoax category, and that is the gateway experience. This was developed by Robert Monroe of the Monroe Institute, and they were the gateway tapes, which were a system of audio-guided meditations using binaural beats to synchronize the brain's hemispheres. The goal was to induce altered states, lucid dreaming, astral projection, remote viewing. And yes, the CIA investigated it. You can actually read the 29-page report online. We'll put a link in the description. It was written by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonald, who conducted the study and who also entered as a skeptic and left as a believer. Many people recall having to listen to the gateway tapes as part of the GATE program. So what's actually true? Let's recap. MK Ultra, 100% real. The Stargate Project, real. The Gateway Experience, real. The GATE programs, real, but were they just education? That's the part we don't know. There's no public evidence connecting GATE to CIA psychic research. But for many people, the memories and the feelings are real. Too real to ignore. If this was simply mass suggestion or collective misremembering, it's one of the most specific, consistent, and emotionally charged examples we've ever seen. And if it's not, well, then we were part of something we were never meant to remember, obviously. Dan and I are going to share our personal memories at the end of this video, and we want to hear from you guys too. Drop a comment below. Tell us what you remember, if you remember anything. Tell us if you were part of GATE and you have different memories, or anything that kind of sounds like that in the 80s and 90s. We will try to read your stories on the next podcast, and if enough of you come forward, we will do a follow-up show, and we would love for you guys to come back and see us. Please hit like and subscribe.